Hello and welcome. This is Shelley Devine, and this is episode 2 called A Message from Mom. It was on her anniversary of her passing. I was looking forward to a day spent feeling her presence all around me, like I usually did on this day. But Spirit had a different plan for me. So I was in the barn with my horses when I saw a hummingbird laying on the ground. I assumed he was dead and went over to pick him up and place him in the shade under a bush. To my surprise, he was alive. He opened his mouth and spread his wings. I immediately thought he needed a drink, so I walked up to the house holding him gently in my hands. And it was a little bit of a walk, a couple minutes from the barn to the house, but I carried him up there. And by the time I had gotten to the house and had some sugar water ready for him, he had already passed. I was greatly saddened. I took him outside. This little precious bird, why did he die in my hands? That didn't make sense to me. My mother has always sent hummingbirds to me as messengers. But what was the message in this? And why on her anniversary? I took the little bird and I put him in the shade under a bush like I always do when I find little critters in my barn that have passed. And then I went up on my deck and sat there and just really questioned, trying to find out why that happened. This is the message I received. This is a reminder of the fragility of life. It's a reminder that you cannot save every living being, but you can help them with their transition. The little bird experienced comfort in your hands and chose that moment to cross over. The message for you is that you have not only the ability to heal the living by connecting them with their past loved ones, but you also have the ability to help those who are crossing over. I said I didn't understand why this message was given to me. It's not like I helped my mother cross over when she passed. I didn't help her. And then I heard my mother say, "Yes, you did. You told me when you came to see me that you were okay and that I don't need to worry about you. You then told me it was okay for me to go. You set me free in more ways than one." I had forgotten about that, and she reminded me. I wiped my tears and stepped back to look at this from a higher perspective. I feel this message should be shared as we all need to step back and look at things from a higher perspective. We can see it clearer. We can understand it clearer. We need to try and find the messages and lessons from things that we experience, good or bad. This will help bring comfort in tough times. To those of you who hear this and resonate with it, I greatly appreciate it and truly hope it helps you. There are signs everywhere from Spirit. You may have noticed changes in your consciousness, your awareness, and how you look at life. I know I did. There is a process of spiritual awakening happening on Earth right now, which is still rather invisible to the human eye, but which many are beginning to feel in their hearts. For some, the whisperings of Spirit are subtle and create gentle openings of the heart. For others, the call of spirit resounds more loudly and may emerge from a challenge or a traumatic experience, which opens the awareness to new possibilities that would not otherwise be considered. Inner wisdom and intuition can flower in the most unusual circumstances, as spirit is always speaking to us through our inner and outer lives. My awakening was such a blessing. I had always been psychic since I was a kid, but managed to brush it off as coincidence. My mother told me I had a special gift and I was going to help people heal with my gifts one day. I thought she was crazy. I ignored the magical things that were happening all around me until I had what I call the dark year of the soul. Have you heard of the dark night of the soul? Well, mine was a whole year. When I came out of that darkness, I was pulled strongly into the light. Things were happening to me that I could not ignore any longer. When I embraced the fact that I was a psychic medium and an intuitive energy healer, my spiritual path just expanded so much. I want to tell you how my awakening happened. It was in 2020, and like I said, I had always experienced things in my life. I had seen things. I had been very psychic, but I never believed it at all. And one day some things were happening in the house we had just moved into on a beautiful mountain with 40 acres. It was gorgeous. And things were happening in that house that I just couldn't ignore anymore. One of the things was I used to have a little parrotlet, which is like a little tiny bird in the parrot family. And she was green and her name was Faith. And, she passed away. And one day I walked into my bathroom, my master bathroom, which was, in a whole different room. And I saw a green feather. It was Faith's green feather. And she had passed weeks ago. And I had cleaned up everything and I had buried her. And here was this green feather in my sink, right where I could see it. And I was just blown away. I was like, what? Okay. This must mean that, Faith is letting me know that she's good, that she's free and she's flying. And that made me very happy. And then a couple of other things happened. And I laugh because it's kind of a silly sounding story, but I had this pair of socks that my husband got me for Christmas, and they were fuzzy, warm socks. And I had lost one of them. And no, it was not in the dryer. It was not behind the dryer. I looked everywhere for this sock and I couldn't find it. And months later, I'm talking like 2-3 months later, I wake up and I open my bedroom door to walk into the master bathroom, and that sock was laying on the floor right in front of the other door. Okay, let me explain these doors. So you walked through the master bathroom and then through the laundry room to get to the rest of the house. Okay, so master bedroom door opened inwards to the bedroom. Master bathroom door also opened inwards to the bathroom. Now, that door was shut, and the sock was right in front of it. So there's no way, like, say if my husband found it and he was playing a joke on me, there's no way he could have placed it there and shut the door without it being right up there. I know you know what I mean. But so that was like, wow. Okay. That was like a big wow for me. And then the final incident that got me to really take notice was when I had just laid down in bed. I felt somebody play with my hair. And I looked and I saw a little girl. And she was just there for a second, but she was playing with my hair. I had really long hair at the time. And then she was gone. So I decided I was going to find out what's going on. And the way to do that, I had an idea, was to get a reading. I had never in my life gotten a reading from a psychic or a medium or anything like that. And so I decided I was going to do that. I was going to find someone that didn't know me and get a reading from her. Well, I did. I found an amazing medium, psychic, and she gave me a reading. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I am not going to open my mouth. I'm not going to tell her anything about me. But if she tells me that I'm psychic, I will believe her. So like 2 minutes into the reading, she goes, you know, you're very psychic, right? So my jaw dropped open and I was like, yes, I believe it now. And then she went on to give me this reading, and it was wonderful, and everything was just very, very accurate, and it made a lot of sense, and it was a wonderful experience. One thing that was kind of weird, though, is she asked me if I believed in fairies. And of course, no. I mean, fairies aren't real, I thought at the time. And so we just let it go. We didn't talk anymore about it. But she said at the end of the reading, she said, do you have any questions? Like anything that you really want to know? And I said, well, yeah, I've had this being or spirit that has been following me from house to house. I've moved like 4 times, and this spirit has come with me to each new house. And it comes with the smell of cigarette smoke, right? And I'm like, who is smoking? I'm so sensitive to it. It makes my eyes water, makes me cough. Well, the first couple of houses, I brushed it off to maybe it was a neighbor, or maybe the boys were outside smoking or whatever. So when I finally moved to this house on the mountain with the 40 acres, no neighbors, right? It was in the middle of winter. All the vents, windows, doors, everything was shut. And I got that smell of cigarette smoke again. And I was like, okay, I'd like to know. So I told this to my reader. And I said, I would like to know who this is. And so she described him for me because I couldn't see him. All I got was the cigarette smoke. And she described him for me, and I didn't recognize him as anybody in my family who has crossed over. And she said, well, perhaps it's someone in your husband's family. And I thought, well, if it's someone in my husband's family, why is he following me around? And she goes, well, because you're a medium, honey. So I knew I was psychic, but I had never, ever thought I was a medium at all. And I was just like, okay, all right, So then that's how I figured it out. And I told my husband, and he was not a believer at the time, but he believed in me. He knew that I was not crazy and that I would never make up something like this that I told him. So he was, kind of a backseat witness to my awakening. And, 4 years later, 5 years, almost 5 years later, he is actually starting to awaken himself. He's had some experiences, and it's just wonderful. So I just, I started from there. I started doing, everybody was on Zoom because it was COVID, it was 2020. So I found some circles that were people were practicing giving readings to each other. And I thought, well, I got to see what I can do. And, long story short, I'm very much a psychic and a medium, and I now do it professionally. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are waking up, and I would absolutely love to help you on your journey. If you are interested, you can always email me at infinitesoulreadings@gmail.com, or go to my website, infinitesoulreadings.com, and let's see if you need any help or if you want to work with me. That would be so amazing. But until then, I just want to give you one tip, and then I will sign off. I want to talk about angels, and to let you know that they are there. And all you need to do is ask for help. Angels offer us help 24/7. The more receptive we are, the more they can give us. Angels work with everyone, regardless of personal histories or beliefs. Angels are infinite and omnipresent. Always express your appreciation and gratitude, and ask them for help. They will not intervene in your life unless you ask them to. So thank you so much for listening to my story. I've got many to come. So for right now, this is Shelley Devine, and I am signing off, and we'll see you next time.